Well, good morning, everyone. I want to thank everyone for joining us, or good evening or good afternoon. I know I said those kind of backwards, but hi, my name is Tina Taylor. I'm the founder for Heritage STEM Camps Foundation. Flo and Ed, but Flo, I'm going to start with you. Just give us a little bit about who you are, your background, how the birth of Shining Light in Darkness, and then we're going to quickly go into how we define mental health, or I would say the stigma as well as the misconception of what mental health is, which keeps especially people in the minority communities away from getting the support that they need.
Good morning, good afternoon. Thank you, Tina, for having me. I am Flo DeVaul-Dudley. I go by Flo because when we go through changes in our lives, not only does it change us in what we're dealing with, but it also changes who we are. We evolve either to become a better version of ourselves, or we allow our situation to overtake us. So Flo is the warrior of everything that I endured that was the genesis for Shining Light in Darkness. I am a servant at heart. Every career that I've had, it's always been focused on the community, from being a law enforcement officer, project director, special educational teacher, which they call EC teacher, to an entrepreneur. With the entrepreneurship, Shining Light in Darkness was birthed, not because it was something that I wanted to share with the world, because that was some personal issues that I hadn't fully resolved or shared with my family. And so when you talk about things that not only affect you, but your family, you're jeopardizing relationships. And so in my obedience to forming Shining Light in Darkness, I realized that it wasn't about me, but about the people that I was commissioned to help in this world that's filled with so much darkness. And hence, that's the name, Shining Light in Darkness. I'm a survivor of child molestation at the age of 7, date rape in my early 20s, domestic violence and IP, intimate partner violence, in my 30s. And here I am. When I thought that I was living my best life, I had a traumatic accident in 2015. And in that accident, those suppressed memories from 7-year-old Florida resurfaced worse than anything that you could think that was bad to one, that will cause them to feel like they're going crazy. That's what happened to me. And it affected my mental health tremendously. Mental health, it doesn't just affect you physically. It is just as important as your physical health. It doesn't play. It distorts your emotional and psychological well-being. And when that is not in place, your well-being is in risk of having a very bad trajectory. Mm-hmm. Because of what I experienced, the trauma, the different life transitions that I experienced, I had to pull myself out of a deep hole of depression, suicidal thoughts, tendencies, everything negative that's associated with mental health and trying to overcome my trauma. Those were my thoughts. But at the same time, because I had that support system, Ed and my kids supporting me behind the scenes, seeing me in my complete mess and still loving me. I'm here today talking as a queen warrior, a Nubian goddess warrior, any type of warrior that you think is the most fierce and you don't want to mess with, that is who I am because of what has transpired in my life that has happened to me. Instead of me allowing my pain and trauma to direct my path, I turned it into my purpose. And my purpose is to be a shining light in this world that's filled with so much darkness, not just into my life, but into the daily lives of the people that I come in contact with, whether they're clients or students, etc.
You think shame does not live here. Judgment does not live here. And if you have even those two things in your mind right now, in your heart about yourself, make sure that you get in contact with either of the two. You can direct text them. Here, this call is about help and support. And mental health looks different for everyone, but 85% of our thoughts are negative thoughts. Something that has happened to us, something that we could have done differently. Reach out for help. Ed.
Good day, good afternoon, wherever you're coming from. I just want to say something real quick to Florida. Florida's business is called Florida Source. And as she was talking, I started thinking about different things. And I came up with this quick acronym, SOAR. And it's instead of SOAR, SOR. When you look at Florida, you see strength. When you look at Florida, you see an overcomer. When you look at Florida, you see resilience. It all starts because she started to open up. I love how you said there, shame doesn't live here. Shame doesn't live here. Fear doesn't live here. The things that we keep hidden in the dark, they hurt us. We have to expose it. We have to shine a light on these things. That's where true healing comes from. So I don't care what it is that you dealt with. Everybody has been through something. And guess what? Somebody has been through something similar to you. It's just we all go through it different. So for me, mental health includes our emotional, physiological, and social well-being. And we don't talk about it enough. Mental health is important because it helps us cope with the stresses of life. I don't care how old you are, how young you are, you're going to deal with some type of stress, whether it's school, making sure you have good grades, whether it's older, worrying about how I'm going to pay my bills and what I'm going to do. Managing our mental health helps us cope with the stresses of life. It also helps us have good relationships. If you're not mentally stable and your mental health is suffering, it affects your relationship. It affects your relationship, most importantly, with yourself, with those around you and those closest to you. So that's why it's important. And it helps us when we're mentally strong and our mental health is balanced. It helps us realize our full potential. There's so many people walking around that have not reached their full potential simply because they haven't focused on their mental health. And I want to say to any young men out there and any grown men as a whole, we don't talk. We don't share. We bury everything on the inside. We're told that you got to be strong. You're told men don't cry. I'm going to tell you, that's the most unhealthy thing out there, to not let those crying tears cleanse you. But it's okay. It's okay to say, I'm not okay. It's okay to say, I'm struggling. It's okay to say, I need help. Because there's a lot of people and resources around you that can help you with any battle that you're dealing with. I don't care what it is. There's a resource and someone out there willing to help you. And if you just look right here on the screen, there's 3 people right here that took time out of their day, today, this morning, or this afternoon, wherever you are, but not only just this day, every single day. They're there for you. So Tina, I'm not going to continue to keep on talking. Let's just get into the conversation a little bit more.
I'm glad that you did bring up the men component, because those that's in the state of North Carolina, Virginia, or South Carolina, if it's easy for you to drive to North Carolina, there's actually a men's group that you need to be a part of. So we'll talk about that at the bottom of the hour. But what I want to do is to talk about how do you define mental health, and what are those signs either for ourselves that we can look to see, I think I might be at the point where I need to call someone, because sometimes I think the idea around seeking support has been there's an over traumatic experience. And that could, but what we don't understand are those whispers along the way that highlights those signs. So describe, well, what is mental health and what is awareness for yourself, as well as when you can see when others need it. Flo or Ed, but I think I'm Flo.
A way to define mental health is anything that affects how we think and how we feel or how we act. And what I mean about that is, again, going back to the emotional, psychological, or your social well-being. So if you see that, as far as self-awareness first, if you were once doing something and you enjoyed it and you just truly loved and was passionate about it, and then that desire just all of a sudden disappear, that is your first warning sign. And what I want people to understand is you trust yourself, because if you don't trust or listen to yourself, you will push whatever it is that's going on with you. Like if it's a health problem, that is just like our mental health. It's just that serious. It's been a stigma too long in marginalized communities. Anything that affects how you feel, how you think, or your overall social well-being is a warning sign of letting you know something is off. And the same for everyone else, to be able to look at a family member, a friend, or anyone that they care about. Those three things to look at are signs to start paying attention to someone's mental health. And growing up, people have little cliches or adage that they would say, oh, he crazy and XYZ. No, don't even open your mouth to even speak that on anyone, because being labeled is another way of causing mental health to someone else.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree with that. Ed, I don't know if you want to jump in, but if not, I want to go a little deeper. So, we talk about gender-based violence. Oh, I'm sorry, Ed, did you want to?
Yeah, just a couple of points to throw at as well, because I know how she talked about it. The things that you used to enjoy, you don't enjoy anymore. Excessive fears or worries, guilt, maybe something that happened before. If you're withdrawing from friends and people that you used to enjoy, or if you're dealing with low energy, problem sleeping, extreme tiredness, these are some early signs of mental health issues. So you need to pay attention to those, not only in yourself, but look around people around you as well that might be dealing with those.
We talk about gender-based violence, and people think when you're hit, then obviously that is a sign, or you see those that have had that, and every variation around the physical. We have quite a few people that's on our platform that have come through, our heritage, and those that's going to be looking. It's those silent wounds that become those sores that are not healed because we have normalized. So even when you talk about those things that you would enjoy doing, and now you're no longer doing that, or the categories that people put you in, on the titles that they give you, you become overwhelmed and stressed. We don't necessarily think about those as being triggers of, oh, I need to go and talk to someone. Or I used to be the A student, but now I'm in 5 different extracurricular activities. My body is telling me I need to slow down, but now that ego, right? I have to be this fearless warrior. I have to have this this face on all the time. Talk about that, right? Because I really I want to break the stigma down of what mental wellness and awareness of when you need to go and talk to people, even if it's a group of friends that's trusted, or when you need to go and seek professional help. What does that look like?
The women within the community taking on a lot of responsibility and playing a lot of roles. And basically you see that A-type personality, even when there are father figures in the home, because I know I came from a 2-parent home, but at the same time, I watched my mom provide for us and for her family while she suffered silently. And I look at myself because of what I endured at 7 years old, a first grader, getting ready to go to school, and mom leaving us with someone she thought she could trust to just get us to school. But that particular day was not so. And after that incident happened to me that morning, I went to my teacher, my first grade teacher, Miss Harris, who I will always remember until the time I leave this world, to tell her what had happened to me. And when I told her what happened to me, it was as if I said something wrong. And so not only was I confused, I was scared, because adults were supposed to be the ones that protecting me. And when something bad happens, you tell an adult and they help you. That wasn't my case. So I had to find a way to cope with my traumatic experience from that moment up until now. But it wasn't until 2015 where my life started to unravel because of those suppressed memories as Florida, a 7-year-old Florida. But Florida has evolved to Flo, that not only does my name represents flowers, florals, things that bring people joy, but Flo, I've learned to go with the flow and take care of Flo and the process of not losing Flo, because it's easy to do when you start to go on a downward spiral of something that you have no control over. Being that A-type person, Tina, we can control that. That's easy, even with the stress that comes along with it. The biggest fear for us is the unknown, the things that we cannot control. And so because I could not control any of my emotional, psychological well-being after that accident, because I suffered and sustained life-threatening injuries from that accident. But the worst part of that, even with the physical injuries, was those suppressed memories. Those suppressed memories made me wish that I would have succumbed in that accident versus dealing with what happened to me at 7 years old. But through that healing process of being a fighter, being someone that have had different professions to help people, because that has been a calling in my life. But during this time, there was nobody there for me. Nobody understood what I was going through. Nobody understood the darkness. Nobody understood the suicidal thoughts. Nobody understood how someone that once loved life wanted all to end in that moment. But I'm still here. I am still here. And through that pain, through that darkness, through that struggle, that's where Shining Light in Darkness was birthed. In the midst of me trying to heal myself, get help for myself, it still wasn't about me. It was about my greater service to this world, because I was put here for a purpose. And my purpose is to be this light in the darkness, this light that can tell people it's okay not to be okay. It's okay to disconnect. It's okay to take care of yourself. whatever that may look like, boundaries, block, delete, do not disturb, whatever you need to do to erase the stigma that has been placed on mental health when it comes to you healing yourself, to move forward and to begin to take flight, to start soaring, to live your best life. You do what's best for you. You don't focus on anyone else, because that has been one of our biggest obstacles in life. We are too afraid of what people may say, people may think, where we feel like we have to have all of this together. We have to have the right verbiage. We have to have the right look. But when your mental health is crashing, all of that is futile. It doesn't even matter, because you don't even see that stuff. All you see is darkness. All you see is gloom. All you see is hopelessness.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I'm here to tell you, as a warrior, as an overcomer, as a victorious individual, there is light on the other side of that darkness when it comes to mental health. When it comes to talking about mental health, let's not have that as a taboo. Let's be open and honest, like we talk about everything else under the sun on our planet.
Yeah.
Let's normalize talking about mental health, especially in our marginalized communities where the stigma is real. Growing up in a predominantly Black community, that was one thing that you did not do, was go seek out mental health. They would have preferred getting a check here in the United States for an individual that's suffering with mental illness. No, it's not even about a check. It's about truly loving your family members or truly loving yourself and seeking professional help in regards to your mental health. Your mental health matters. Your
Yeah.
mental health
That's a
is
hashtag.
priority.
That is a hashtag right there. We're going to do this as a trending. Look, I've learned to say the power of no with a period at the end, and I don't have to explain my no.
Yes.
So a lot of things that I talked about before, many professional women, many women that's at home, men around the world, kids, they all have some variation of what I said. I wanted to make sure I put that out. A lot of people will look at me and say, oh, Miss Tina, she has it all. But look, there's stages.
Yes.
And as they say, new levels, new devils, and different things that you have to fight. So it may not be the physical thing. It could be just the barrage of responsibilities that we choose to bring into our lives that sometimes can cause us to have breakdowns. But we don't look at that as being a mental health episode. We just say, oh, I'm just doing too much. So we normalize those things versus trying to talk to someone about it. But I want to make sure.
I want to say something real quick. Everyone, I want you to think of a master key. And if you know what a master key is a key that can unlock any door. And I want to let all of you know, especially Ms. Tina, because people look at you in a certain way. You've achieved so much. You go into these different rooms in Florida. Transparency is a master key. Transparency is a master key that can unlock closed doors for not just yourself, but so many people around you. So it's okay to be transparent with everything. I know sometimes we like to just close certain parts of our life. Oh, nope, you're not going to look at that. That's behind that closed door. Open those doors. Let people see behind those doors. Because guess what? It's either going to help them through a door, or somewhere in their life when they encounter that door that's blocking them, well, they can think back, well, look what Miss Tina said. Look what Miss Flo said. Oh, let me just use that master key and get through. So I'm a big fan of being transparent and what we've gone through, what we've encountered, and it's okay. It's okay to be transparent.
Yes, so I want to invite anyone before we close this session out, if they can give me the accolades. What's myself? And so I will push myself, but then I was taking it over because now I was performing versus living. So that's just my 2 cents. Again, I was in my 30s before I realized burnout was just too common for me, and I didn't realize how it was killing me. Flo and Ed, I turn it over to you.
to overcome the burnout syndrome, one must exhibit self-awareness. And specifically, I'm grateful for an adolescent to recognize that they are experiencing burnout, because that's your mental health kicking in. It's telling you something is not right. And in the moment of you recognizing that, this is where you begin your recovery from the burnout. Because in that process of experiencing burnout, there are some steps that I can tell you how to deal with this. And I know that we are right there at the time, but
Well, you know what, Flo, you want to go through those steps? Because I think, because the questions are coming in now.
I will
And
say we have time that we can extend this if
okay,
you have time. We'll make time for this conversation with our young people.
I appreciate that, because I want to make sure I let this breathe, because this might be the only space that people will have to talk. And yeah, so Flo, if you can walk through those steps.
okay. The first step is to be gentle with yourself. And just remember that you just need to heal. Healing is another word for recovery, because you're not the first person to experience burnout, and you will not be the last one. And after you remember to be gentle with yourself, you do something that brings life back to you, restores that vitality, that gives you a better sense of self-love, self-empowerment. And then the next step is, if it's so overwhelming, you reach out, you ask for help, you ask for assistance, because you do not have to deal with that on your own. And if you feel like you have to deal with that on your own, where you can't talk to your parents, you can't talk to your friend, or there is no one in your circle, they're adding to your burnout. You need to change that situation, reshift, and prioritize yourself, because you need support in this life along this journey. And step one, be gentle with yourself, show yourself grace. And remember, it's okay not to be okay, because you're not in a race, you're not in a competition. You have your life, your entire life to get to. This is not a race, but this is a marathon. You have increments of things that you are going to experience in your life, but just be gentle with yourself. If you don't remember anything else, very first thing, be gentle, loving, and caring to you.
Hello, good morning. First, I want to say thank you for this discussion, because I know a lot of these master classes are often geared more towards older people. But we have Miss Tina has her youth programs and still invites her youth to these and gives us these resources, which I am so thankful for. And as a young person who was identified gifted from kindergarten, first grade, my first grade teacher wrote a note on my report card to my dad about how much of a perfectionist I am and to look out for it. I really appreciate this conversation, and I want to speak for not just gifted kids, but just youth in general that are going and going and going and going and approaching the end of the school year. I can see that it's hard on everyone. Even just sitting in a classroom, you can tell there isn't as much participation and there isn't as much excitement for certain activities. And even for myself, like just this upcoming week, I have like 2 training sessions. I'm the advisor of my school's literary magazine. I'm having to wrap that up. Testing, end of year dances. I'm graduating middle school too. And it's a stigma around youth, and especially gifted kids, where people are like, oh, but you're so young. You can't experience that. You're so young. And it's not true. And I just wanted to if there are any other teenagers or preteens or younger on this call, just to let them know that they're not alone. And thank you all again.
Thank you for your transparency. I will tell you, I attended a Black History program back in February, It was a poet thing that they had in Carborough, and it was middle school students that were presenting their own poetry, and listening to them as well as listening to you, I have so much comfort and hope for our future because of you guys. The things that we endured growing up, the support that we did not have, the issues that people were afraid to address, you guys have access and resources to those very things. And our hope for Shining Light in Darkness is that we will see a world free from violence, sexual violence, domestic violence. You guys really have given me hope, because not only are you guys gifted on so many levels, but to be aware of what you are currently doing and how overwhelming it is, instead of just trying to go through the cycle and do it and do it and do it, keep pushing yourself. I applaud you for realizing this.
Real quick about burnout, because all three of us here can talk about it because we've been there, and I've been there multiple times. When you think about burnout, I want you to think of balance. The problem with burnout, we don't have any balance. I want you to think of a scale. You keep adding stuff to the scale, that's burning you out. You keep adding stuff to the scale, that's burning you out. And what's happening is it's going down, and this other part is just sitting there. If you're going to add something that's potentially going to burn you out, you got to add something that you enjoy. Maybe it's going for a walk in the woods. Maybe it's going to a store, playing a video game, whatever it is. Every time you add something to this stuff that's expectations of whether it's school, whatever it is, make sure you're adding some time on this to keep it balanced. That's the problem with us as adults. We never had any balance. We were striving for XYZ greatness, and whether it was more money, accolades, titles behind your name. And we burn out because we weren't balancing that out. The other thing is comparison. I like social media and I hate social media. Stop watching social media so much and comparing yourself to some of these individuals that are sitting out there. That is a drain on your mental health. When you see someone, you think they have all this stuff. Comparison kills. Comparison will kill your mental health. Comparison will think, well, I'm not enough because this person at 15, they got 1 million followers and 1 million likes and shares. So what? Mm-hmm. There are YouTubers and people and social media, influencers that are killing themselves.
Yeah.
They got all the stuff, but they're killing themselves. Why? Because they don't have any balance in their life. So make sure you have some sort of balance in your life, whatever the balance looks like for you. And if you don't know what that is, reach out to someone. We can help you find balance.
Yeah, and I'll stay with that. I tell you. So full transparency for those that's on this and those that may see this, if I don't edit this out.
Don't edit it out.
Was it 2 months ago or a month and a half ago? I started looking at, and those of you who have been at the camp, you may have seen, I talk about this young fella that I follow on social media. His name is Anthony O'Neill. He talks about finances, but from a spiritual standpoint. And he had several people on his show. And I forgot what point. So I just had a senior moment. It's like 15 things I want to say, and I totally checked out on where I was going. So we just gonna move on.
Them senior moments are real.
You know what? This is me going to bed at 2:30 this morning and getting up at my regular time, which is at 4:30.
I know we had some other questions.
Yeah.
Well.
There was a point that I was going to make, and if it comes back up, I'll remember that. But this is what I want. This is what I want to do. Oh, this is the point that I was going to make. About a month and a half ago, I wrote a note to to Ed. And I said, you can share this with your wife, Flo. I asked them if they can, and part of his show, this is where I was going. Anthony O'Neill had this powerful young lady on, and she talked about her board of directors, like who she brought in her circle. So a couple and some of the questions I had to write down. I chose to write down, what are all of those things that I'm doing physically? Like, what are all those things that I think I'm responsible for? So I put down that whole list. And then I had to really gauge it to say, do I think I have that responsibility and accountability? Or am I adding that to my plate and nobody asked me to add it to the plate? And why am I adding that to the plate? And how do I feel about it? So I went through that exercise. Then I looked at, well, who are the people that I need to have in my circle that I can call at any point in time? My financial advisor, getting a therapist, getting a doctor. So you got to make sure your body is checked out. So we have annual checks on our body. I added that therapist. Oh, I wasn't having an annual check to my mental health, which is also important. I didn't have people that I can check in with when I was having a moment and I was out of balance, that I can talk to, that's protected and non-judgmental. Those are the two people that you're looking at right now, right? Then having financial planner. So for you all, it's, we talk about financial literacy and all of those elements. And you still need to have somebody that you're talking to, or someone who you're listening to that's online that can help you think about how do you prepare for your future. But there are different things that you can do as a teenager to make sure that you're getting yourself prepared for. But there were 5 people, and I think it was 6 that I had, and I can't remember right now. But just those practical steps, it reduces your stress where you don't have to think about, okay, well, what are all of the things? Okay, do I need to talk to somebody? Don't I? Just write it all down. And Flo, look, this is the first time that you enter into a space, but we create space and let things breathe when it makes sense.
Yes.
I don't stick to, I like to respect everyone's time, but if you're showing up today, that means that this was something that triggered you and it was important for you to be here. And so we weren't going to end this call without going through those questions. Okay. So the fact that you are answering them, I appreciate that, because now that logs it and they can walk away with some information. I still want to go through, please.
Allowing me to speak and elaborate. So when I was younger, competition and like comparing myself to other people was a way for me to do better, like to progress. And, it always helped me to just reach my full potential until it became an unhealthy habit. And comparing myself to people would make me look down upon myself and my own progress, and it would hold me back. So I just want to know where to draw the line when it comes to comparing my progress with other people, because I feel like it's getting unhealthy. And, I go through so much like extreme lengths to just do better and to be better than everyone around me, where I can be progressing for myself and not to please the people around me. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you for asking that question. I don't know how old you are. I just know at that age, I'm not asking that question. There's been times that I've compared myself, especially when it came to career. Where am I compared to some people that I might have trained and flown? I have had this conversation before. I said earlier, comparison kills, and it can. It could kill your thoughts. It can kill you mentally. The only thing I really want you to compare yourself to how you were doing yesterday, last week, last month, last year. Do you see growth in yourself? That's the only true comparison. Do you see growth in yourself? Because when we start comparing ourselves to other people, We don't know what they're really doing. We don't know what they're really going through. Is this, if it's basically on social media, we don't know if it's true, if it's false, but we know what's going on with us. So how are we doing today? Did we learn something new today? Are we better than we were last month? So when you can start just comparing yourself to where you were, you're going to feel much lighter. You're going to feel much better. And mentally, it will take a huge weight off you. Because at the end of the day, what is comparing yourself to somebody else really doing? What are you getting out of it? Typically, they're not comparing themselves to you. Doesn't matter. Just compare yourself to yourself. That's my opinion.
So
Because
oh,
I saw
I'm
I saw Miss Flo sit back. Uh-oh.
So comparison is a tool and mechanism that society has used that supposedly pushes us to be the best version of ourselves. Comparison is deadly venom that slowly kills us. Depending on how much you inject yourself with, is how quick it will take you out. You do not need to compare yourself to anyone, because there is nobody on this earth that is 100% the same. We all are created unique. We have our own purpose. We add our own value. So to compare yourself to someone in a way that is detrimental to your holistic self, you don't do it. But if you set a goal with some objectives, that's different, but you're not comparing yourself. It's something that you're trying to obtain, but you're not comparing.
Me, starting school, I started off being like that competitive person. But what happened is over the years, I kind of allowed myself to die down, and it just got to a point where I just became lazy. And I feel like the problem I have now is comparing myself to my older self and always being disappointed because I'm always in a spot whereby I struggle keeping myself accountable. I struggle with being consistent in things that I set myself to do, and I'm just constantly putting myself up for like disappointment, to be like, oh, you know what, I could have done this, but I didn't. So yeah, maybe it's just not cut out for me, and it just causes me again to like procrastinate, and it's just a whole chain of reaction that goes on, and it has become a cycle, and it's almost like I don't know how to get out of that cycle. So that's kind of where my problem is. Any advice?
Well, Cabral, I will simply say I understand where you're coming from. It sounds like you need an accountability partner. You need someone that's there that you can trust, you have confidence in, can keep you accountable. Start setting small obtainable goals. Don't do the huge ones right now. Like every morning, you can say, I'm gonna set a goal. Today, I'm gonna make sure that my bed is made. I do my chores or whatever that is. Start setting those goals. Once you reach those goals on a regular basis, you start setting bigger goals and bigger goals. And share those goals with somebody to have you accountable. I had an accountability partner that I would share certain things with, and we would check in on a regular basis. And he's like, Ed, did you do this? I'm like, no, I didn't. Well, why? What stopped you from doing X, Y, Z? And of course, I'm making up excuses. And he called me out. He said, yeah, you're making excuses now. Why are you making excuses? What stopped you? So for me, it's find somebody that can help keep you accountable. Flo?
I agree with you. Accountability.
Well,
I know it's not often.
I'm going to go play the lottery right now because she says she agrees with me.
I agree with you. Just trust yourself. Even when it feels like at times that you're procrastinating, sometimes it's not. It's just your body telling you, okay, you need to take a break. procrastination has been looked at with a negative connotation. And I understand why, but sometimes our subconscious slows us down and we feel bad because of certain things we were supposed to been doing and didn't accomplish it. It's okay. Every day is a new day with new beginnings. You just start fresh and count it all joy. Don't allow what you didn't do to overshadow what you will do.
I'm a person that really doesn't like opening up a lot. So usually when I'm feeling sad, I close myself up thinking that everything's okay. I've never really opened up to anyone. And whenever I try to, I just like start building up walls and not letting the other person see what's really inside of me and just like hear my voice and hear my concerns and like how I want to live my life. So I just wanted to know like how can I stop myself from like building up walls and just going back to the emotions and not like allowing people to see the real me.
So when we feel like we can't truly express ourselves or we're hesitant, it's our body attempting to protect us, whether we remember something that happened to us. We may not remember, but our body keeps score of every traumatic or emotional thing that has happened or occurred in our lives. So for you to not feel comfortable doing this, what I hear is that first, inwardly resolve, and you don't have to go in detail or anything, resolve what you're battling internally. And once you've somewhat resolved it, it will not be a 100% resolve. Then slowly you will be able to express yourself more and be confident in it and be able to soar, as I love to say. You're setting yourself up to soar.
Simple way, I will simply say that if you're not journaling, start journaling. Take pen to paper, don't type it, write it. Because there's something therapeutic about sitting down with a pen and some paper and expressing yourself right there. And let it all out on paper. And it's not necessary for anyone to see, but you for to get all your feelings out. Because over time, what happens, you'll get so comfortable journaling, eventually we'll actually be able to come out and share with others. So if you're not journaling, start journaling. Take it from someone that didn't start journaling until he got into his 50s. It's actually important to sit and write your emotions and what you're feeling down in the moment.
You're going to be able to reclaim everything that you thought you had lost, and it pales in comparison to the future for you.
But now I would just simply say you are enough. Always remember you are enough. And there are resources and there are people that are adults. Just because they don't share the same bloodline that you have, don't mean they don't love you any less. I know Miss Tina loves all her children that comes through there. I've fallen in love with so many of the people that young people that I've seen over time from being on the platform with Miss Tina. But you are enough. There are resources that are available. I will simply speak for myself. I'm available. If it's all right with Miss Tina, she could share my WhatsApp, and then you need to reach out. Hey, I'm struggling with this. What do you think? But you are enough. Your voice
You're
matters.
available.
Your voice matters. One step at a time. You know, how do you walk out the doors 1 foot at a time? One step at a time. Start reaching out to one person, one trusted person. Trust me, I get that for years. I would never speak. I would never really truly share how I was feeling. You got surface stuff from me, but you never got deep what's going on with me. And Miss Flo can sit here and tell you, because early on in our relationship, I would give her surface stuff. But over time, I started giving her deep stuff. Trust me, it will happen. Miss Tina, I love these young children. I absolutely love just the questions that they ask, and they're more mature beyond their years.
Very thoughtful. Yeah,
Yeah.
very purposeful. I can't thank you two enough. That's why you all are such a magnificent dynamic duo, especially going into the season where you hear more and more people talking about mental health and mental wellness. I will read Carbell's
Yeah.
statement. She said in her case, I was raised to believe that mental health is a bothersome topic and takes away from other important things. So reaching out causes me to think and to feel like reaching out to help as equivalent to disturbing the other person. And that is true.
Yeah.
I don't know if either of the two of you have a comment or statement before we wrap this up.
Well, Carbell, that's why we're here. We are here to be that light in darkness, to talk about those things that people think or make individuals feel like it's a nuisance. We are here to bridge that gap, to help individuals, young and old, to set up healthy boundaries within their lives, to become the best version of themselves, and to be this light in so much darkness. Because the same thing that we're doing for you, sowing these seeds, you will be able to help the ones that come after you, and ensuring and affirming them, letting them know that you're not a bother. You are worthy of having our time. They're worthy of having your time to become the best version of themselves as well as yourself. I'm here, Ed is here, Tina is here. If you ever feel the need, any of you all, to reach out in regards, if you feel like you've been overwhelming Miss Tina with a lot of stuff, and you feel, because we are human, we're in this human body where we're going to have these thoughts. Even with the best support system that's supporting us, we're going to feel like we're bothering them. Even though you're not bothering us, I'm telling you that now. Reach out to us, because however we can help you and be that guiding light for you on this journey, we're here.
I will simply say, don't hold it against us older adults. Many of us were brought up in a way. You're about to go get a year older real soon. You are old. Many of us were brought up in a space where mental health was never talked about. A lot of things weren't talked about. We grew up in a time where it says, what goes on in this family stays in this family, doesn't leave any further. Excuse me. And I don't hold anything against older people that weren't taught. They didn't understand the importance of mental health. That's why I'm glad now we're in a season where mental health is being brought forth. And unfortunately, it was the pandemic that brought mental health to the surface, where it's being okay to start talking about mental health, whether you're young, whether you're old, whether you're Black, whether you're white. It doesn't matter. Mental health affects all of us. But don't hold it against us older people because we didn't know any better. You don't know what you don't know. But I can speak for myself, as I'm a little older than Miss Flo sitting there, is I really started talking about mental health over the last few years. Prior to that, I wasn't talking about it. It's important. Just as important as to make sure you're fueling your body with the right stuff. Just as important as to make sure you're getting some exercise, and whether it's walking, running, whatever it is, it's important to make sure that you're feeding your mental health. What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you listening to? That all goes into your mental health. Make sure you're feeding your mental health with the right nutrients and the right things.
Okay, so for reaching out to Shining Light in Darkness, you can go to our website, www.slidfnd.org, or for one-on-one coaching sessions, you can reach me at www.florida, FLORIDA, source, SOARS.com, and schedule a complimentary session, and we can move forward from there. And in the state of North Carolina, they have multiple mental health facilities. And I know because of COVID, mental health has just bombarded the mental health providers. where they have a backup log, but you always can just type in mental health facilities in whatever continent you reside in and all of the services that are available. And please do not get discouraged if they put you on a wait list. If you feel like you need help immediately, reach out to us. You can call us at 919 in the United States, 791-5578. You can text us, or you can call 252-423-9469. That is all my contact information regarding SLID and Florida Source. Ed will give his information.
You want me to give it now? You done? So the easiest way to reach me is ed at slidfnd.org. I put it in the chat. Excuse me. My phone number is 919-709-7543 if you're in the continental United States, and I can be found on WhatsApp as well if you need to reach out. But we're a resource for you. We're here for you. We were all young at one time, and some of the trials and things of being young. I think you guys are dealing with more mental stress because of social media these days. But it's okay to not be okay. It's okay to ask for help. And you have a ton of resources and adults here available to help you along this journey called life.
I want to thank again Ed and Flo. This has been such a wonderful session. So everyone else, good day. Have a blessed rest of your life, and know that you are